So day 2 is all about creating gratitude for those negative emotions. Now it may sound a little crazy, like why do I want to have gratitude for emotions that make me feel bad? I know, I get it. It sounds a little crazy, but just stick with me here. I've done the research, I've done the science, and it really works. So yesterday we talked about how to leverage negative emotion and how negative emotion is actually good for us because it gives us an indicator on what's not going right. It'll let us know that, hey, wait a second, something's out of whack, so it gives us an indicator so we can fix it. So now today, let's get grateful for some of those negative emotions that propelled us to change our lives in a powerful way. So we all know about gratitude, but I want to point out some of my favorite benefits of gratitude. You know, gratitude increases our physicality. People that have more gratitude in their lives report better health conditions, less aches and pains, and overall a better health. Another thing is it helps with self-confidence and self-esteem. They did a study, and athletes that are more grateful performed higher performance on their training and their results. So it increases self-esteem. The last thing is it increases overall happiness, and that's what it's all about. Isn't it great to be happy every day? And as a result of increasing happiness, it decreases depression and depressed thoughts. So gratitude is everything. So now if we take and we embrace gratitude and we apply it to those negative emotions that actually helped us in the past to create something different for ourselves, we can start getting grateful for that. So again, stick with me. It sounds a little crazy, but I'll share with you my experience and then we'll get into the homework. So my experience a few years ago, I had a wonderful life. I manifested my husband as a divorced mom, and we bought this amazing home in California while we were in escrow on another home. We introduced our second child. I have 2 baby daddies, so our first child together, a beautiful baby girl. And I had a super successful job in corporate America, the dream job that everybody told me that they wanted. And I had a successful interior design business. So everything was awesome. Well, the problem was everything was great until I had a breakdown. I realized that I didn't listen to my signals and my internal GPS system. And I wasn't realizing that I was overwhelmed, I was stressed, I had so much guilt in not being able to be everything for everyone. Being a mom and a mompreneur and working corporate America, it left very little time for me and to be able to process who I was and what I needed for myself to rejuvenate, kind of to fill up my tank, so to speak. So as a result, I had a breakdown. I was in bed for a week, exhausted. I thought that I actually had a flu or a virus because the more that I slept, the worse I felt. I went to a doctor and we did a barrage of tests, from checking my doing an endoscopy and checking my stomach functions, to checking my allergies, to working with a ears, nose, and throat doctor, to doing a sleep study. I did so many different things and all the results were normal. And then my doctor said, you know what, I think that it's something emotional that you need to deal with. And if I wasn't in that low spot in my life, and if I wasn't feeling so bad and overwhelmed with all those negative emotions, it wouldn't have propelled me on a year-long journey to discover myself, to figure out what was wrong so I could fix it. I could get to the root cause, not just put a Band-Aid on it, but really dig in deep. And then I realized, and I found my purpose in life. So if I didn't have those negative emotions, and if they didn't actually push me into a breakdown, then I wouldn't be where I am today. I would still be stuck in a job where I didn't feel fulfilled. I would still be working in an interior design business, not being fulfilled there either, and having so much more stress in my life. So it's all about getting grateful for those things, those feelings of fear that push you into the unknown, the feeling of not being comfortable in your situation, the feeling of guilt, which inspires action to be better for the next time. There's all these emotions that we have that are negative that really push us. So if we get grateful for those, then the next time a negative thought will happen, it's going to be easy for us to process. Is that making sense for you guys? It's really simple and it sounds a little counterintuitive, but it really works and it's such an amazing thing. So guys, the homework is, it's going to be 3 steps. The first one is reflect back on your past year. Thank you for inviting followers. You're awesome, Chelsea. Acknowledge your shadow side so you can live in the light. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So what we're going to do with the homework is 3 different parts. Number 1 is reflect back on your past year. Really identify a situation where a negative emotion helped you take action. Whether it was, just not feeling comfortable in a situation and it forced you to get out. Whether it was fear that promoted a change in your life. Whether it was guilt that promoted a different action for next time so you didn't feel that same guilt again. Whatever that negative emotion was that propelled a positive action or a change in your life, really reflect and think about that. Okay, so once you identified that, then you're going to, number 2, acknowledge it. Hey Travis, welcome. Acknowledge it and thank. You can do it in your head so you don't sound crazy in front of your family, but thank that emotion for being there. Appreciate it and give it gratitude to say, hey, for me in my situation, I thanked my overwhelm, my guilt, my stress, my worry, my anxiety, all of those things. I thank them because it led to my breakdown, which I transformed into my breakthrough. And now I live a life that I'm fully obsessed with. I have everything I want in all the areas of life that matter to me most. So I am so thankful for all of those pesky emotions that literally drove me to the edge, and it made me jump. And it made me jump into this personal discovery and this mission on finding myself, finding what really mattered to me, and then designing a business around that so I can help others do the same. So that's how you can go ahead and acknowledge it and thank it. And then number 3 is, how does it feel to appreciate that negative emotion? Really get reflective on that feeling as well to say, oh my gosh, did that just blow your mind a little bit? That the negative emotions are there for a reason? Really marinate in that a little bit because it's really powerful. Because this right here changes the game completely. You can start realizing that, oh, okay, there's fear. That's creeping up. Well, what is it telling me? Instead of trying to push it out of your life and push it away and try to focus on like a positive thought and, push those fears away, do the opposite. Welcome it and say, okay, I get that you're here. What do you want to tell me? What can I do with this? What is not going right for this fear to come up? And once you go through it and you take some practice, it's an amazing feeling. And so I tell people that, you know what, I'm ready for breakdowns because it leads to breakthroughs, which up levels my life in such a huge way when you do the work. So that is the homework assignment. It's 3 different parts. 1 is reflect back in the last year and really identify a negative emotion, a negative situation. What amazing advice. I've never heard that before. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if you're not part of the challenge, please go ahead and sign up. Embrace the negatives. Thank you. You're so welcome. So number 1 is reflect back to that negative time, those negative emotions. And then really appreciate it. Acknowledge it. Get into those feelings and say, holy crap. That period in my life where I was so depressed and like that happened in my relationship and I had to end it, that was the best decision ever because that guy or that girl was a total loser and they weren't right for me. So really get into that gratitude, appreciate it, and thank it. If you want to do it out louder in your head, just thank that emotion, and then it just feels so releasing and it just feels so transformative for you to acknowledge that. There's so many times where we don't acknowledge our journey. We just acknowledge the next thing and move on to the next one. So really acknowledge that journey and thank that negative emotion for being there. And then finally, number 3, get into that whole transformation you just did because that was huge. So really get into and say, oh snap, that negative emotion really helped me. And think about it, marinate in it. What other insights are you getting in your life? It's such a powerful, simple strategy that you can adopt. And once you do that, those emotions, the next time they roar their ugly head, you won't be as scared. You can turn on the light and say, hey, what are you trying to show me? And work with it rather than pushing it away, rather than pushing it down and have it turn into passive aggressiveness, which has happened to me before.